Wholly over the edge spiritual successor, Batman. Tiki here, and I have been watching through each and every episode of Batman Beyond for the first time. Tonight, Dragon, tell them why we're here.
Sure. Sorry. You see, folks, long ago I made a vow to educate Tiki in the ways of Batman the Animated Series, serving as his spirit guide to Gotham in a way, but that was the past, and we must now enter the Batman's future.
All right, and I'm so excited to talk about this episode that we almost jumped the gun on it, Dragon. Tonight we're talking about Eyewitness. I'm going to go out on a limb and say this is my favorite Season 2 episode so far.
Okay.
I really, really like this. And, you know, I think the main takeaway that I want to kind of get into with my thesis statement here is I think it's really funny how I kind of approach this show with Barbara Gordon as kind of like one of the areas of trepidation for me. I was like, okay, like we all know the, kind of like the weird qualities of the Bruce and Barbara pairing. So, but suffice to say, Dragon, I am just absolutely delighted with this interaction that we've been having with Barbara and Batman, the new Batman, and there's just a lot of character development for her on this, and she's not exactly likable in this episode. No, she's not. She's definitely in the wrong, but she admits it by the end, and I think it's just a really interesting position to put her in for the episode. And also, I think we might have an all-timer Great Conroy moment, Dragon, and it's literally one word for me. It's one word that he says. So we'll get there. All right. So give us a little bit of context, Dragon.
Yeah. So this was directed by the great Butch Lukic, who did Lost Soul and Spellbound, the first Spellbinder episode.
Mm-hmm.
Also, he's the guy in charge of the Tomorrowverse films right now, which, I mean, at the moment are going through a rough patch, but hey, he did reopen really strong. The writer on this was a duo. Well, not a duo, but basically had the teleplay and the story by kind of credits. So two writers for the price of one. Rich Fogel, who did The Winning Edge, the Bane episode, which had a little bit of drama at the home front of Terry McGinnis, which we get a little bit of a reprieve of here. And Hilary J. Bader. She did some of the great episodes, like Meltdown and Hidden Agenda, which was a Big Max episode.
Sure.
So the studio worked on this. I know you'll be shocked, so Tiki, I want you to hold on to your seat here, okay? I don't want you falling off on me. It was Coco and Dong Yang. There's a little bit of Dong Yang. Just a little bit.
I'm just as shocked by that as I am shocked to discover that Batman didn't really kill Mad Stan in this episode.
Well, Tiki, I know that last time, you were really thrown off by DG. I said, I don't want to risk anything.
Oh, God. All right.
Okay. So, here are some fun details about this episode. Big one, as you probably noticed, as I hope you noticed, this is the first digital episode, the first digitally colored episode. So this is where we make the shift in the series. Like now we're doing them essentially we're coloring them directly on computer versus the cell animation. We've abandoned cell animation now.
Okay. I can't say I did notice that, actually.
Okay. So, yeah, this was, as you kind of noted, it's a little inspired by Over the Edge. There's some parallels to it. It's unclear how directly inspired it was, but I think it's kind of hard not to compare it. It's hard not to enter the writing space when you have animated series writers working on this. Like, hey, we have a Commissioner Gordon going after a Batman. This seems oddly familiar.
Right.
Yeah, I believe Butch Lukic was kind of the go-to guy for Spellbinder. I forget if he did Hooked Up or not, which is the second Spellbinder episode. Spellbinder appears in 3 episodes, and, well, this is the last of those 3. So yeah, it's kind of nice that, I forget if Lukic did all 3, but at least, he very much kind of used them best, potentially,
I mean, it's a short and sweet appearance by him. He doesn't really have a lot of lines, but it's a very meaningful action that he does.
Some Mad Hatter parallels there.
Totally.
Kind of like a very memorable appearance. I guess last thing to note here, just in terms of our progression, things you probably tracked, we're building off of Batman being seen as a vigilante. This episode goes really good hand in hand with the episode Babel, which we loved. Remember that Babel was
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
yeah, you remember exactly. So yeah, it was just kind of like a nice thing where Gotham's kind of having some pointed opinions about Batman. Bruce really digging his heels in to save the kid against Barbara, who's like, well, turn him over. We might need to have him as a failsafe here. We might need to have him as a sacrificial lamb, Bruce. Like, no, we're not doing that. No. So again, we're kind of building off some stuff there. Just Bruce's dynamic with Terry, as well as the whole we're really paying off the Barbara Gordon thing that we really started there.
Sure.
Okay.
All right. Kogias is in the comments. He's saying, well, first of all, I'll address the Gordon stuff. He's saying Commissioner Gordon is really out of line in this episode. Terry is obviously innocent. He and Bruce have been more helpful than the entire GCPD combined. Also, Jim Gordon was a better commissioner than Barbara. I mean, I'm not gonna argue with that. That's like saying water's wet.
Yeah,
everyone's gonna be a worse commissioner compared to Jim Gordon.
Yeah.
Barbara is biased towards costume vigilantes, even though she used to be one. Barbara deserves a pay cut for her actions in this episode. Not gonna argue with that either. But I do think that there is nuance. Like, Barbara clearly in the wrong this episode. I do think there is nuance to her arc in this episode, though, that I really appreciate. Okay, and then lastly, I'll try to call Terry Batman from now on for the sake of streams. However, I still find it weird for him to be called Batman. They should at least add the word Beyond to his name.
About that, it's kind of funny that you have both Batman Beyond.
I think you and I both had the whole thing where when the show was first announced, we just kind of assumed his name was going to be Batman Beyond.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's kind of like that and Static Shock, for example. Every time
you
say static,
yeah.
you have to stop yourself from saying Static Shock, and vice versa with Batman, because that's how you differentiate the two. Well, Batman, they have a very it's probably harder with Batman because Batman Beyond, because we're talking about that Batman. We have essentially two Batmen in the show, especially when we have like a whole episode dedicated to Bruce Wayne still calls himself Batman in his head.
Oh yeah,
very memorably.
All right, so I bring that comment up specifically. I saved it for last to jump into the episode because Dragon, honestly, the opening scene, it's honestly one of my favorite opening scenes that we've gotten in Batman Beyond, just as far as like, it's a real tone setter and it doesn't even like really establish the major conflict of the episode, but it kind of establishes the the building blocks to get there, and I really feel like it's a necessary stepping stone to take, because I really think that without this, I think Gordon's actions would have kind of been unforgivable, but this really does kind of give her like a lead in to really not be cool with Terry and what he's doing. And so because of that, Dragon, I truly think that his actions in this opening scene are probably the closest that we can actually get to Kogias's Bat Team thing. I think he's very much like showing his immaturity here.
So, a couple things. We have great ambiance set with the rain, but just want to highlight the really cool rainfall that we have. Batman and Shadow and everything is looking good. The classic aesthetics in the future.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I like that we, Batman's spotting like this arm still going down here, and we have a nice bit that kind of does pay off later towards the third act here, thematically, where Bruce warns Terry to make sure he knows what he's going up against before jumping headfirst into a situation, which of course Terry learns the hard way in this opening. So we reveal Batman has actually not foiled criminals. He's intercepted and utterly wrecked a police sting that took about 12
minutes. It's bad. It's like, So honestly, the moment where the doors open and all the GCPD come rushing out and Batman is just like literally cowering.
Yeah, and you have that moment too where it's just like, you idiot. He's making the quip like, oh,
right. Like, oh yeah, you idiot. You're ruining everything. That's what I'm here for.
Yeah, that's man. Bruce could hear that. Anyway, so he's foiled a police thing. I believe the criminals get away, if memory serves. So, yeah. So let's see. So we then have a really great scene here. Oh, it's a wonderful scene here.
So what's funny about this scene, Dragon, is like the first time I watched this episode twice, and the first time watching it, I was honestly so caught up in the drama of like, oh man, that's gonna look really bad for Terry. Like, like what's Barbara gonna say to Bruce? I barely even registered that we had a fucking Alfred tea party going on.
I know. I've been hyping this one up for you. This is like I forgot. I don't believe. I thought if we were ever going to mention him by name, it would have been here. So I guess we never mention Alfred by name except.
But you definitely feel his presence, though.
You do. And also, when I rewatch this episode, I found there's a bittersweet Alfred reference at the end. I read into it, mind you. It's not really like fully like there in a big neon sign, but I think there's a really bittersweet kind of like soft Alfred moment at the end of this episode, so it does kind of go full circle in that way too. So, yeah. So aside from that Max gag, we don't really say Alfred's name, but his presence is absolutely felt in this scene where they're having tea time at Wayne Manor. You see old Bruce, mourning Alfred in a really lovely bit here, where he says, "Oh, this tea's good. I learned from the best. If only I figured out how he made those little tea cakes," and she fills in like you're thinking of crumpets. Crumpets, yes. All right, this is great. This is probably I don't know if it's the Great Conroy, but it's the.
No, it's not the Great Conroy because, like I said, I have one specific Great Conroy thing, and it's a single word.
I was really worried that when you say single word, because technically I think we're thinking of the same one, but it's really two words. So I don't know if we're thinking of the same thing or not.
I don't know. We'll see. When we get to it.
We'll see. Regardless, we have this. Like, okay, I think we've made with the requisite small talk. Why are you here? It's just he did the pleasantries, but then he's moving on. Exactly. He did the pleasantries, and he just brushed past it. Like, I'm an old man, Barbara. I don't have time for pleasantries. Let's just move through it. Okay. I put out the tea. I couldn't make the crumpets. Can we just talk about what's the elephant in the room, please? So anyway, so she spent 12 months to set up that sting. Lives were on the line, probably. I imagine the guy who got tied up by Bevan probably did like an undercover operation. So that guy was really in genuine danger all time. And Barbara calls out Terry. Now this is a big moment here. We've been building this up for a while, but this is the first time we've like laid out on Front Street to Bruce and everything, where Barbara calls out Terry's record.
Yeah, I feel like we've definitely gotten hints of it before, but now it's like we have concrete proof.
Yeah, Barbara's being a little judgy here, but I mean, again, she is making. If she was like, okay, we've kind of buried the vigilante thing, and it's coming back, and maybe Bruce, the guy who alienated the Bat family, in a desperate ploy for relevancy, has brought just someone back without thinking it through, and this is like an actual legit concern we need to address, because you brought a guy with a record versus a guy who's trained for like, for his whole childhood and teen years, to become the world's greatest detective. It's very different. Right. So she's making a valid. She is kind of making a valid, kind of point here. But I love that Bruce very staunchly says, like, I know he has a record. He doesn't care. Bruce has seen past all that with Terry. He just made a mistake. Well, make sure this was his last mistake. So Terry then shows up like kind of like, I like that Terry's practicing his stealth here for like the bad entrance. And he just kind of pops in, like Bruce gives him that glare of like, you. It's like, Terry, make the crumpets.
God.
Anyway, so let's see. So after that, Barbara, she's at the big re-election gala event for her husband Sam Young, who's running for re-election, and someone crashes that re-election party.
Okay, I'm just gonna say, Dragon, this whole episode to me was like Mad Stan's comeback to her, because as you remember, I like Mad Stan was fun in his first appearance, but I kind of thought his appearance was like, if you remember, I kind of thought it was a little out of left field, kind of took up a little too much screen time for what was essentially.
It was great, but it took up time.
But no, this was a perfect use of the character. I am fully on board now with him. He's just so. I honestly might be the most enigmatic of the Batman Beyond villains, just as far as like sheer personality.
Absolutely. Mad Stan, you called out this comparison before, Tegan. It's absolutely on point. He's very much the Rhino. He's like the big muscle, kind of the fun lunkhead villain that Batman can dispatch with, but it's going to be messy, and it's going to be hilarious and loud. So Mad Stan, he's very, also, again, with kind of the futurism here, he's very, let's just say he's a very big extremist that we sadly have more in the future.
No, it's really, it's kind of like ahead of its time in that way, yeah.
Yep. So he's blowing stuff up, and he's tearing around the place, and he's like, he's got his big meaty forearm like pressed against poor old lady Barbara Gordon, like, hey. Anyway, so he's like saying he's like calling Batman establishment flunky and everything. And he's saying, blow it all up, the political corruption, blow up the system. Basically, he wants to blow up the 1% there, and he has bombs all around the place. So no one, basically, whoever's in there is the only hope.
In a weird way, he's kind of like a combination of Bane with his political ideology, and then also the Joker with just like the crashing the 1% party.
Yeah, also he does dress like Dark Knight Rises Bane.
A little bit, yeah, with the vest.
He's got good fashion sense, that Mad Stan. He's a maniac, but he's got good fashion sense. I mean, he has a vest that can stand toe to toe with the bat suit, at least until you can claw it off.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so Batman, he snuck in for extra security, which it does go to show, he's not turning tail and like, oh man, I want to stay out of the crosshairs of that mean old Barbara Gordon. I don't want to take her off.
Sure.
So let's see. So he does this really sweet move where he electrifies with like an electrical bat-bola, the battering bola. He electrifies the detonator, so Mad Stan can't just blow everyone up like in a suicide run right now. So they fight, escalates to the parking garage. Mad Stan has almost this Punisher-like battle van full of explosives and weapons, and he's like firing these awesome like military anti-aircraft guns at him and everything. So bang bang, etc. Then we have the big moment.
Oh yeah.
So I guess to either cover his escape or really just take everyone out, one big mushroom cloud. He has this big old barrel of a bomb. I'm not exaggerating, kids. A barrel.
It really is, yeah.
He has this barrel bomb, which again, kind of per Heath Ledger Dark Knight, is kind of like
you know what? It kind of like for me, it kind of gave me like some Donkey Kong Country vibers.
That's the thing. It's a little Donkey Kong Country. Also, I mean, retroactively, it's a little Heath Ledger Joker with the barrels of ammonium nitrate, and everything. So. He plants the bombs, about to pull the handle on it, and now here's what I love, and this is a really subtle moment. No one, and I mean no one, ever talks about. I'm going to tell you about it. Okay. There's this moment that I love. That it's a moment that I'm not saying it's like an actual like fan theory or something to factor in there, but I like that's like it's like a tonal foreshadow for what's going to happen. Where Mad Stan says, I pulled this thing, we all blow up or something along those lines. And Terry, Will Friedle, has a very kind of cold and clinical kind of delivery of, I don't think so.
Yeah, sure. Oh, hello, you there? You there? I know, Dragon, you just cut out, so you might want to go in and out or something. I'll try and you left me in a big moment here. While you're out, Dragon, I'll read a couple comments here. Okay. Okay, so yeah, I'm sorry. Lucas Green, happy to see you, buddy. Hope you're doing well. He says, I do wonder, is Barbara going with the commissioner gig to live up to her father or to try to make herself feel good emotionally after leaving the Bat family in a big way? Well, Dragon could probably speak on that more than I can, considering he's the big Gordon fan in the room. But for me, I kind of read it as I definitely think it's a little bit where she wants to still kind of be involved with the law enforcement side of things in an official way, and I think she's like kind of like even more staunchly in that official way because of the Bat family and how that goes down. So because of the Bat family, I feel like she's compelled to do things by the books. Dragon, you there? Hello? Oh boy. Curses. It's Spellbinder Dragon. He's playing tricks on us. All right. Oh dear. Okay. I was hoping that he'd have some insight on that. All right. Code Gios says, I think it's implied that Alfred is the one person that was there for Bruce and never left him until his death. Alfred is more loyal to Bruce than anyone else. It's interesting that you bring that up because it kind of reminds me of like arguably like probably like my favorite beat in the entirety of The Dark Knight Rises as a film, which is Alfred should have had a little bit more screen time, but that final moment of him at the grave, like, I failed you, just goddamn, like, top tier acting from Michael Caine's part. Okay, Dragon, hopefully third time's a charm. You there? Okay, Dragon, type in the chat. Let me know if you want me to keep going on with the recap or not while you figure this out. Because obviously we're at a very pivotal moment here. What's the plan? How long you want to wait for Enter the Dragon? Well, let's see what he's got to say, Lucas Green. Keep going with the comments. All right, Dragon says to keep going with the comments. So, yeah, anything you guys want to talk about? Let's see. I'm trying to think of any current Batman-related events going on, any current news or anything like that. Oh boy, I'm not good at riffing. All right. Curses. This is such a good episode too. It sucks that we're having the technical difficulties. Oh boy. Honestly, I don't know. When he comes back again, Lucas Green, I'm gonna ask him if we want to maybe just cut our losses on this particular show. And I don't know. This sucks. I'm not gonna lie. This sucks. Okay. You know what? I'm gonna have to just keep going with the recap. So obviously this is the point in the episode where we get the big moment where Barbara is overlooking the situation, the confrontation between Batman and Mad Stan himself. And when we get Dragon back in here, your other side crime has no punchlines. Yeah. When we get Dragon back in here, I'm going to ask him if there's any sort of subtle foreshadowing on this moment. But it is a very powerful moment where we see everything go down from Barbara's point of view, where Mad Stan is essentially taunting Batman, like look what you're doing. If you arrest me, I'm just gonna break out of jail and finish this because I'm Mad Stan and I hate the 1%. Wahaha. You there, Dragon?
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Okay. Oh my god.
Anyway, yes. So, okay. So the big moment. So we have that whole. Did you hear anything I said about the whole? I don't think so.
Yeah, I did.
Okay. Anyway, point being, like, Terry's getting a little clinical, getting a little merciless there, and then the big moment happens.
Yeah, like I said, I like how it's all done from Barbara's point of view. We as an audience kind of are just left to sort of marinate in it, you know, like, oh my god, is this actually going down the way that we think it's going down?
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like, when I look at that, I don't think so moment. It's kind of a thing of, like, she hasn't shown up yet, so it's kind of like a tonal thing. But when she shows up, though, then things get really, like, just dark and horrifying.
And you're right, though. There is a gradual kind of shift with that line that you mentioned being kind of like a little bit of a turning point before the tone fully shifts into dark territory.
Yeah, it's like enough just to keep you guessing. It's like it's gonna give you a feel, though. Anyway, so he breaks the handle off of the Batarang, and then we have just this. Oh god! So he shoots one of the wrist-mounted Batarangs, breaks the handle off. He kicks Stan, and then we have that great music playing. We have that. We have that. The great kind of ominous score that's playing as he's really beating Mad Stan really, really hard. And then Barbara, she's on the scene and she sees Batman versus Mad Stan, and they have this conversation which seems very out of character. It feels very manufactured, which fits in with
right.
It feels
almost as if an artificial intelligence wrote it.
Well, essentially. But yeah, I love that it feels like something like Spellbinder would cook.
You're right. That's why I have to put it into it.
go ahead. You know, like Mad Snake's never like is about the whole like intellectual, like I'll break out and I'll do it all.
Right, right.
Go ahead. I'll get out and I'll just finish the job. And says, you're right. I can't do that. So he basically, I gotta admit, as far as if you
I don't know
watch-
why I'm laughing, but like, yeah, like when you actually know the twist, you're right. It is very artificial.
But I love that. I like it's like a great clue that something like to the astute viewer, something's off here.
Right, right.
So Batman, this is a great death for Mad Snake. He beats.
It's essentially like a Johnny Walker kind of murder.
Johnny Walker. Oh, right,
Yeah, like he uses the bomb in the same way that John Walker used the shield.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. And then we said Johnny Walker. I was like, wait, you still have like the drink?
No, I'm sorry.
But the other thing. So he basically the way to kill Mad Snake is like he lived and died by the bomb. Basically, Batman beats his head in with his own bomb.
It's poetic in a way, yeah.
Yeah. So Barbara's horrified, and I love it's like they can only get away with this, obviously because he survives at the end. But still, it's the fact that because even kids WB, as bloodthirsty as they are, they are human.
No, Dragon. I mean, let's just call it like it is. Kids WB. This episode, straight up firing actual guns at children.
But big old explosive rounds the kids can't get their hands on, though.
It's always take that ET with the fucking, like the gun walkie-talkie thing.
See, there's the special edition.
I think that was like right around the same time period, too.
Well, let's see. It would have been like a 10-year anniversary. Is that right?
Like ET, it would have been the 20-year.
I guess 20 years would have been, it sounds about right, yeah. I mean, I might miss it by a year, but it sounds about right.
God.
In terms of anyway, the point being, you have, so we have this thing, and Barbara's horrified, and we do it in like 2 hits, but that second hit, that hand comes down, it's like, okay, we've signified death, and the animated series knows how to represent death without like spelling it out and spoon feeding it for the kids. Like, we don't have the bloody corpse, but it feels pretty grim. So she goes to arrest Batman on instinct, just like firing at him, and it's like, oh god, she's shooting at him.
Yeah, and that's really where the over the edge parallels really come into play, where it's like it's just no holds barred at that point.
Kind of like that moment where Bullock's shooting at Batman's feet, like you don't go anywhere, murderer. So Batman he flees. He's not knowing what the heck's going on. Then we have seemingly, presumably this is all projected in her mind, assumedly. Some officers are on the scene and they say, Mad Stan, he's dead.
Yeah, that's the one element of the episode that I still can't. You think that's all just like a projection?
I do, because
honestly, that's the part where it's like it feels a little like I can totally buy the actual murder, but I think that part's a little far fetched.
I have one far fetched element of this episode, which I mean, there's like there's a little way around it, but it's not great. But this, however, think about it. We see the footage later on, and she's the only one running in that parking garage.
That's true. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure like she's imagining those guys there, and they're probably like think about it. You'd have we'd break the logic of the thing because there's no body to take to the morgue. So they would have to have been imagined like what's going on. They're thinking, oh man, the commissioner's anti-Batman now because we're shooting Batman. It's see this GCPD. There's no Bullocks in there. That's something you'll notice about Batman Beyond. There's like aside from Barbara, there's no other allies. They're all very uniform. They're all very like penguins.
In a weird way, I feel like Barbara's kind of like a combination of Bullock and Jim Gordon.
Well, I think more Montoya, but
I could see Montoya. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, you might be right in terms of like Bullock not liking Batman. So I guess in that respect, maybe sure.
Kind of like an antagonistic, begrudging respect.
Yeah, let's just say there's an amalgam of the core cops from the GCPD and Barbara. Yes,
there we go.
But yeah, so like the rest of them are very much like bowling pins. They're there just to get knocked down. That's all they're there for.
All right, before we move on, Dragon, I do want to get your take on this comment from Lucas Green. I was kind of I was doing the best I could to kind of fill in the gaps. I don't know if you heard any of that, but what do you think of this whole thing?
Well, let's see. I do wonder if is Barbara going with the commissioner gig to live up to her father, or try to make herself feel good emotionally after leaving the Bat family in a way. I think, look, it's going to be a cop-out answer, but it's for a cop question. It does feel like a blend of both. It does feel like, she's leaving behind the heroism she knew for the heroism she grew up with. Like, she does admire her father truly, and I think it's like, I still have that heroic thing in me. I can't endure this trauma anymore. And it's like the end, like, this is going to get me killed. Like, she had a wake-up call, like, this is where this path leads, and I don't want a part of that. At the very least, if I'm part of it is like if I go with Law and Order, at the very least, it's going to be a simple death that I'm risking. That's at least like I'll be lauded and kind of like looked at as like a hero like my father versus like, hey, I treated people in questionable manners and I got all my sidekicks, all terrible traumatic things happen to my sidekicks. I'm going to get killed with like a giant sword, like smiling swordfish stuck in my chest or something. It's like you don't want that to happen. So I think it's a combo.
Okay. Kogias, really quick, he says, since you compared Mad Stan to Rhino, do you think that Paul Giamatti should play Mad Stan?
Nah.
Honestly, I don't even think Paul Giamatti should play the Rhino. That was not his best role. No, I think Paul Giamatti's way too old for that role. I would say someone like a John Bernthal.
Yeah, no, that tracks. I'm down for that.
I mean, you haven't really seen him in The Walking Dead, but he's a lot more, let's just say in The Walking Dead, he's a lot more energetic and charismatic than he is as Frank Castle. Like, Frank Castle obviously is very, very reserved, very kind of, soft-spoken in a way. Bernthal is not like that in The Walking Dead. Like, I could see him bring out some of his Shane energy for Mad Stan.
All right.
All right. Okay, moving on.
Okay, let's see. So after all that happens, Batman's down. Oh, this is all my fault. I'm gonna do what I should have done a long time ago. Bring down Batman. So Terry, let's see. So Bruce Wayne. Sorry, I keep jumping forward here. So we go to the McGinnis residence.
We go to the apartment first, yeah.
We go to the apartment, and we have this great moment over here. Terry's like overhearing the cops questioning is Mary McGinnis about where's your son?
And you got to imagine the combination of shock and guilt. Like, he doesn't even know what's going on, but the guilt of like, oh man, my poor mother. Like, I can't imagine what.
The last time cops to her doorstep, the worst day of her life happened.
Right.
So the fact that he's kind of incidentally put her through that. Now here's the real thing. So the issue I have with the episode is it is a really big buy that if Barbara felt the way she does, why wouldn't she out him instead of this real cushiony kind of Saturday morning status quo thing of like, no, we just want to bring him in for questioning.
yeah.
Now, really logic.
You would think that she'd get like a full-on search warrant and just be like barging down the doors.
I mean, you think that she's like out him like nationally to find him. Like, here's a fugitive. Terry McGinnis is Batman. Bruce Wayne is Batman. Go find him.
Sure.
But I think the logic is the only thing that makes sense is that Barbara isn't sure what to do right now in this moment, and I think she's like, it's like an inevitability she doesn't want to face because we set up the thing with her husband where it's going to really ruin his political career and everything, where it's like there's going to be a lot of ramifications and she knows it's going to happen, but she's trying to at least, I think, hold off, like, not rip the Band-Aid off. I think she's kind of delaying the inevitable. So I think she is going, that's the only logic I can never put to that choice in this episode. It's like the one flaw in this episode. Like, wait a minute, if she was going to like burn that bridge, that's the thing. Over the edge, we burn the bridge, but it's a dream, so it's okay. Okay, speaking of which, so Bruce is in the Batcave, and he's conflicted. You know what he's conflicted about? Why do the background artists keep putting the bat suit in the glass case, and why aren't they used there? Because it's there
He's
again.
Just sitting there pondering life.
It's there, and here's the thing: not only is it there, it's there incorrectly. It's there, and the ears are missing. It's crazy. Anyway, no. So Bruce is he's kind of mulling things over. Barbara visits him and says, well, what happened? Like, yeah, he does. So it's a tense conversation. Where that Bruce warns that it's taking Terry in is going to expose the past, including your secrets, and against a thing she's kind of prepared to do. But it's no one can protect us this time, Bruce. He went too far. It's a real nice kind of like cold, bittersweet kind of moment,
Yeah. Okay, really quick, I'm going to point out some comments here. First of all, Kogiath just points out that a lot of the police officers in this thumbnail don't have faces, which I think is amusing.
Yeah, that's the thing. Unfortunately, this episode was without fully giving away the Spellbinder thing. Like visually, it was kind of hard to find a good image. So yeah,
Let's see. Lucas Dream, just to comment on what we were just talking about. It's a very weird position. She knows Terry's Batman, but she can't do anything without revealing to the Force that he is Batman. Let's see. Kogias shouts out the blockbuster the blockbuster buster. I like that guy. Pointed out that Barbara and her husband are one of the earlier examples of an interracial couple in a cartoon.
that
Indeed.
is true. Yeah.
All right.
All right. So, Terry calls Bruce. He's hunkered down at Max's place, just kind of laying low from the cops here in a panic. Like, Bruce, what the heck's going on here? And then Bruce is like, he's about to come down on fire and brimstone here. He's like, you think you can get away with killing Mad Stan?
Okay, so this is where my great Conroy moment is.
Ooh, okay.
It's not that. Like I said, it's the one word, Dragon.
No?
It's just when he answers the phone and just says, Terry.
That's good. That's pretty good.
I think that's the great Conroy moment because it's like the pain in his voice. It's like the most concerned father ever. You know what I mean?
You're right. That's really
like it's like a combination of like concern and disappointment and regret, all wrapped up in that single fucking word.
Now, we're not going to get to it for a while, but there's a Terry that curb stomps that Terry, my friend, and that's a good.
Oh Terry. Jesus! I mean, this is still a pretty powerful one.
No, I know it's a powerful. That's what I'm saying to you. There's a top shelf.
By the way, does this technically count?
No, it does. He's not shouting Terry.
That's fair. That's fair.
Not shouting Terry or McGinnis, so it doesn't count. But still, though, that's this is a pretty. This is a heavy moment. It's going to get heavier down the line.
All right.
So, anyway, he tells him about the whole. He's like, kill Matt. I just hit him with. I love Will Friedle's like read on like, I just hit him with my elbow.
right.
Just hit him with the elbow. He's fine. He'll walk it off.
Also, I've just got to call out that Max is just like she has no lines in this episode. She's useful to give him a place to go, but not a speaking role at all.
You know what? I'm going to give you a peek behind the curtain here, Tiki. You know what happens?
Okay.
You know what the deal is when that sort of thing happens?
I assume it's like the voice actor's sick or something.
Well, I guess it's kind of a combination of things, but you could look at point being the voice actor's unavailable. Traditionally, what it is, they made fun of this hilariously on the Wolverine and the X-Men commentaries, where the studio didn't want to pay the actors, so they appear, they don't say anything. Or Cree Summers is busy, or she's sick, so
I mean, she was a busy woman; she still is. So
I really think that's the reason. I think she's just busy. Anyway,
that probably would have been like around the As Told by Ginger days, right?
Tiki, this is either in 2001 or 2002. I suspect.
Yeah, but As Told by Ginger went on for like 3 or 4 seasons, though.
Actually, I'm sorry, forget 2002. I mean, you're right, multiple seasons. So it's probably what the deal is. I mean, that was also drawn together. I mean,
that's true. Yeah,
I don't know. So those are the two. Anyway, so plus Codename Kids. There's a lot of things. All right. Anyway, so
that was actually probably the most like busy time for her in her whole career. Actually, was the early 2000s when you put it like that, because those are all big meaty roles too.
Yeah. Well, she plays like multiple characters. I think she was both. I mean, like Cree, not just Cree Summers, but Cree, like the older sister on. Kids next. Anyway. So, okay, so. Yeah, so Max is like giving like kind of the peanut gallery reactions here of like, oh no, kill. It's like, yeah, and that sort of stuff. So Barbara's an eyewitness. And it's just, I hit him with my elbow. It's like she wouldn't lie. Well, and I would. So there's a great moment of trust here. It's like, tell me where you are. Hey, trust goes both ways here. You got to tell me where you are if you want to. And he does. And he says, to stay there. And, I'll figure out something. So Bruce checks the security footage, and he's watching the footage, and it's scrambled at the big proof moment, kind of like the Flash movie. It's like, oh, there's the big there's the big proof. We're so close. So I love this. This is such a Batman moment. I think it's a runner up for the Great Conroy for me, but not the Great Conroy moment I have in this episode, which is minimal like yours. I mean, it's a very minimal kind of it's a 2-word line, but we'll get there. He believes Terry because it's too coincidental.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yeah, it's Batman to a T. He wouldn't believe that at all. Anyway, so I think it's time we pay Mad Stan a visit. So, ooh, creepy. Very creepy. So we go to a morgue on our Saturday morning cartoon show.
Yes, for kids.
Yep, Batman's sneaking around. He's bumping into
I got
the.
to admit, Dragon, that movie, The Autopsy of Jane Doe, that was kind of going through my head a little bit.
We use the electronic lockpick device, which I love. No one else does, but I loved it. Terry's uncomfortable. I think it's the first time he's probably been to a morgue and doing something like this dark. And
He mentions like they're gonna have to examine the body, and he's like, "Well, geez, Bruce, I even had trouble in science class dissecting frogs."
had trouble with the frog in biolab.
I like the workaround to that, though. It's like, yeah, well, all we're gonna have to do is scan it, so you're gonna have to just deal with the sight of it for a minute.
The sensors have like a sigh of relief.
They
open the
Can you
drawer.
imagine if they actually tried to animate like dissecting a body?
Well, that's the thing. He just needs to scan the body. So we found a way around. But you're right, though. Had we done that, like, oh god, I mean, it's. Yeesh. Okay, so they find that.
Honestly, I can't even really picture that in like an R-rated animated movie.
Well, the only way you do it is in POV, Tiki. It's horrifying, but you do it like RoboCop.
God.
That's essentially how you do it. All right, so okay, so Mad Stan's gone. Drawer's empty. Very creepy. And seemingly the skeleton's moving. Well, it's not the air conditioning. Really, it's Spellbinder, like putting the pieces, tipping over the dominoes here. And he pulls the alarm. Terry's caught, and he's in a very, and I love this. He's in a very kind of Mask of the Phantasm / over the edge kind of situation here, where he is being pursued full on by all the cops, and they ain't letting up. It's just like that Phantasm scene. He's not bleeding. So Barbara's like telling him to surrender and everything. So sorry, it's not my vocab. So he tosses the smoke bomb. But here's the great thing about this, Jason. Barbara, she trained with Batman. She knows all the tricks for this exact situation. She knows every contingency Terry's going to try here. So she has like a fan at the ready to blow away the smoke screen. Like, okay, I'm fragged.
Exactly. That's really cool.
So, Terry, we have Terry gets hit by one and he falls so far. Like, oh, man, we're beating up this poor kid. Even Barbara's doing it, man. Like, come on, Barbara. This kid, we hit this kid with a heavy object, more than a cartoon character every episode,
But I do like this strategy of like basically he lands on the top of a police like flying jet thing, and there's a net that catches him on the roof.
Yep, and he uses the infrared to escape.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not the infrared. He uses the cloaking device to escape, and she turns on the UV light, which exposes him as he steals a cop car. He calls Bruce Wayne, tells him to dump the car. But here, I love this, man. This is like a subtle thing I always love, and we teed this up in one of the great episodes, Batman Beyond, with Shriek, where we went to Old Town in Gotham. We walked past Crime Alley and the police department and everything, but we full on went there. We went to this is really I want to say this is the first time in the animated series I guess in the DCAU, not counting the one moment from Justice League with for the Man Who Is Everything. First time we see the movie theater in DCAU.
Sure,
we go to the Majestic Theater. We actually see the exterior of it. In the '89 film, they called it the Monarch. In the Arkham games, called it the Monarch, but animated series, it's like the Jim Carrey movie, the Majestic. So I love this. I love that Batman has a contingency. Go to this place that was very formative in his life. Go to Crime Alley. Go to the old rundown movie theater, and there's a tunnel there that will lead you essentially to the Batcave.
Right.
Great idea. It's thematic too. So Barbara knows about this place. So there goes Bruce's contingencies, and it's like she's really cocky about it too. Like, what took you so long?
that to me was like the one thing about her that was like a little out of character. Now I do want to shout out like the nuance of what I do like about it. I didn't really get into it when we talked about the actual conversation, but I really do like the nuance of essentially like she is in a lose-lose situation where it's like morally she has to turn him in, but by doing so it's not just derailing her life. She's got the husband who's conveniently running for re-election.
Yeah, here's something too. They don't spell out or anything, so it is vague, it is ambiguous, but there is a chance that some of her actions are under it's like we saw Spellbinder can essentially hypnotize people into doing certain things they ordinarily would not do.
That's true. Yeah.
They're a take off of their desires deep down. So it is possible. Maybe that's why she doesn't rat him out, because Spellbinder doesn't know who Batman is. She doesn't know that
he doesn't know that she knows who Batman is. So how would she have if he's guiding her actions like that here and there? I don't know.
Lucas Green, I'm assuming that you're commenting on that line when she says Barbara Gordon, Law and Order. What took you so long?
Yep.
Yeah, it's the one line I do feel like is a little bit out of character for her.
Well, it's an out of character kind of episode.
Sure.
All right, so we have this great escape here where Batman shoots out the Batarang, which ricochets and knocks out all the guns. And gets hold. He goes back into the theater, and it's basically he's held up in there. Let's see. We show so Bruce. Meanwhile, he finds the footage that Terry knocked out Madstain with his elbow, and Barbara's just shooting at nothing. Like, why would she? Why would she say something different? And then he enhances the old procedural thing, or he enhances that footage. But I like that we don't see a clear picture. I like to think that Bruce doesn't cartoonishly enhance that thing. He basically zooms in and he determines who would make sense to be there if there was a third person. I think he deduced who that was.
Sure.
Anyway, so Bruce calls. He tries calling Barbara to tell her to call it off, kind of Waco style. And
then Barbara's just like, no, you listen to me. Like that is the time of me listening to you is over.
Yeah. Which again, I like thematically. I like that it's a consequence of Bruce's decisions that dissolve the Bat family. This is like, well, when the chips are down, they have a grudge against you, buddy. They're not gonna listen to you in moments like this, sadly.
Right.
Yeah. So then he calls Terry. It's like a little busy.
I love that.
Yep, so he says, put your visor through the frequency scan. And he does that, and he basically hears like the hum of like the little eye device, and he sees that I know who's behind all this. I'm betting he's down there right now. So is he hiding behind Barbara? Is Spellbinder, right behind Babs.
So this is a really huge risk that Terry takes here, where it's like he at first it looks like he's giving himself up. He raises his hands, and Gordon's like, "This better not be a trick." Sorry. He's just like, "Sorry." I mean, it's like he fires that Batarang right at Gordon's head. It's like,
yeah.
I if I were in his position, I would be very lucky or very worried that that doing that would just instantly result in getting shot at.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, thankfully he has a target that he can see that no one else is seeing. Like at least he's like he knows exactly what he's hitting. But you're right.
Right. Yeah.
It's a Clint Eastwood moment for sure. All right. So Spellbinder's his little hypnotic eye device is destroyed, so he's exposed. Like Spellbinder, and Batman tackles him before he can like take out Barbara, and then we do like the little like procedural wrap up thing here. Yeah, this is Spellbinder. He was doing it the whole time. You saw nothing in that. Everything you saw in that parking garage, like so you didn't kill Mad Stan. I didn't, and I wouldn't. It's a firm line. So, but I love this too. Spellbinder only gets like one real scene in the episode, but my God, this actor he milks it, man. He makes it memorable. Like,
he really does. Yeah.
Because this is Spellbinder's thing. He's so prissy. He's always like trying to get like he's always trying to get those little. I'm a psychologist. Let me get my digs in there.
Oh God!
I get in people's psyches. I make them feel bad about themselves. He's the underpaid guidance counselor. Remember, that's his origin. So he's like, you know what? Yeah, I know what's wrong with you, Barbara Gordon. You were so ready to believe the worst. It was easy. So it's anyway. So then we have just the real sleazy kind of thing for him. Okay, so Barbara, she apologizes. Big moment here. Sorry I messed up, which I've been there. He kind of forgives her, which shows that Terry is the bigger man in this case.
Yeah, I like how it's not like an over the top apology. It's more so just like an acknowledgement that she was wrong.
Yeah. But she does make it right afterwards though, which is a really nice button on the. We always have this thing.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, the thing with the mother. Yeah, that's great.
Here's the difference between Batman Beyond and Batman the Animated Series / New Batman Adventures, what have you, is that we will have so many downer or psychologically damaging endings to Batman the Animated Series. I'm not saying that doesn't happen there, but for the most part, it's like anything we do with the nice feel-good kids WB wrap.
I feel like Batman Beyond, it's kind of like the Dawn Blue philosophy, it's like show them some fucked up shit, but have a happy ending at the end.
We'll bash Mad Stan's brains in, but we'll take Terry out for a nice dinner.
Anyway,
so we have the big moment. Here's my Great Conroy moment coming up here. So Bruce is. So Terry calls Bruce with the good news. Barbara says, basically she made up the lie of like I was trying to find your son to present him with the Student Service Medal, which put him in Shui City, lingo, Shui City, with his mom, and she's even taking me out to dinner.
Isn't that nice?
So it all worked out. But I like this. This I love on the flip side. Here's where we get the bittersweet Alfred payoff. Which, by the way, so I don't forget it. I love that ultimately, Terry listened to what Bruce said at the top of the episode to take out the bad guy here. Like, you should know your enemy, which in this case, like, hey, stop for a second, think about this, and you scan and you see Spellbinder, and you take him out. Anyway, so Bruce, he's alone with the T, which is like this sad image to me because it's like, it's a visual way of just showing that it screams, I miss Alfred.
I didn't even really pick up on that, but yeah, you're right.
But this is a stretch for me. Here's a big stretch. I like to read the end of this episode upon a rewatch as Bruce Wayne had faith in Terry. Ultimately, the reason Bruce Wayne had faith in him, aside from just being the hero that we all know and love and everything, is that I think Bruce had faith in Terry the way Alfred had faith in him.
I could totally see that, yeah.
You being a guy in the winter of his years, being the old guy on the sidelines, and you see this kid, and I think he kind of, in that moment, it's an underplayed, it's really in the background, so it's not really there, but, you can read into it, is that he kind of gets it. He gets what Alfred went through in that moment,
sure.
One could say, maybe. Anyway, so it could have, here's the great Conroy moment, though. It could have been a really bad scene if you hadn't believed in me. Old news. I love the way he says old news. It's so reassuring, and it's like it's quick, it's clinical. It's just like it's all Batman needs to say, and he has so much warmth and like old news,
Mm-hmm.
Then we have this great thing. Oh, by the way, they found your so-called victim. They did. What happened to Mad Stan? They found him. Oh yes, he has that smile. Like, was so silly what they did, but in a great way though. So what did they do with Mad Stan?
Oh man, I mean, he is. Well, at first we see him just like totally just taken down, like what looks like a total just like Wall Street type building. Just burning it to the ground.
He can fight City Hall.
But then we reveal it's all in his head. He's in some sort of weird VR prison.
Which, remember, we set up and hooked up. It's the thing, the VR things.
But I love just like the animation on him at the very end and just how like sickly happy he is.
Remember the big rant is like, no more graft, no more payoffs, and the big one, no
more jury duty.
And he's just laughing so creepily at the end there. So I wonder what that guy's happy about.
So yeah,
at the end of the day, it was a great win for Mad Stan. He had to fake his death, but it was a good day for him.
All right. Well, like I said, Dragon, I really do think this is my favorite episode of season 2 so far. I really think it's a perfect sort of examination of how far Terry and Bruce have come in their relationship and their trust for each other. And as I said, as the show goes on, I'm just digging the Gordon dynamic more and more. I think it's a really interesting, fresh take on it. And yeah, she's definitely not as likable as her father was, but that's definitely not the point of the character. The point of the character is that she is more antagonistic, and she does have that bad blood. So yeah, I'm really interested going forward. Definitely a good omen.
Yep. Yeah, again, this is I think this is a well-liked episode, but I do think it kind of gets lost in the shuffle only because there are a lot of good episodes of Batman Beyond. But when people remember it, it's remembered quite fondly. It's a great episode. It is very much kind of in a comfortable kind of shadow of Over the Edge. It's it's very solid. It progresses things, and again, as our first digital episode, that was a pretty strong start.
Indeed. Okay, so big thanks to Kogias and Lucas Green for joining us in the comments. Take us out, Dragon.
Chaos among killers. Curare with a grudge. Tim Curry. Can Batman stop Curare before everyone loses their minds? Will Max defuse the bomb in time? Tune in next time to find out. Same animated bat time, same animated bat place.
On the next visit to Batcave Beyond with Final Cut.
No more jury duty.